Hello, world and universe. Welcome to the Trevor Donald Experience. Manifest your truth. And if you're new to the channel, please hit that like and subscribe button. And for all my continued followers, I want to say thank you. And this is an opinion-based video channel where I try to open your eyes and ears up to some of the travails and tribulations that take place throughout our cities, our states, our country, and sometimes around the world. And I have a story for you straight out of Flagstaff, Arizona. And for my followers, I know the last few videos I've been doing have had a political slant, an entertainment slant, a governmental slant, talking about things that have been taking place from an government standpoint, an FBI standpoint. But I'm going back to a true crime story. And this one is encapsulated around mental health, the opioid crisis, drug addiction, someone trying to help someone who is in that chasm and or axiom of mental health issues, untreated drug addiction. And for many of my followers, please listen, whether it's a family member, a close friend, this whole opioid crisis is something that's very devastating to our society. And I know there are many people, whether it's a family member or someone close to you, you want to help them as much as you can. But I believe in the old mantra that they have to hit rock bottom and want to help themselves. Rehab cannot necessarily do it. They should go to rehab, but there has to be an inner struggle and an inner peace for that person to want to get out of this addiction. And many times when you have good trying to help bad, what happens 99% of the time is that the bad will pull the good down. The good very seldom pulls the bad out of the abyss and muddy waters of self-destruction. And this is a classic case of that is entailed around a kindergarten school teacher who tried to help a young man that she was dating for about a month. And as she tried to help him, what did he do? He ended up hurting her in the most diabolical way, which you know is the end result, death. But let's talk about how the story went. And this is a very sad situation. Man who dated Glendale kindergarten teacher gets life for her 2017 murder. So he just recently got convicted for this murder that took place almost 7 years ago. A man who brutally killed an Arizona elementary school teacher after she bailed him out of jail will spend the rest of his life in prison, a judge said. Charlie Malzahn, 32, was given a life sentence with no chance of parole in Coconina County Superior Court. For family members and friends of Catherine Gorospe, the Flagstaff courtroom marked their first time seeing Malzahn in person since her 2017 slaying. Gorospe's father, Ray, told the court nothing he experienced as a soldier and a firefighter compared with knowing his daughter had been stabbed to death and then run over with her own car. I didn't know it was possible to feel so much pain without being physically injured, Ray Gorospe said in between sobs. People talk of closure. To me, there will never be closure, only the terrible pain of losing my daughter. And by the way, I have 2 daughters, so I can definitely relate as a middle-aged man with 2 daughters trying to navigate their way through this crazy world. To lose one of them under any circumstance, let alone a diabolical murder for someone she was trying to help, is the saddest story you could think of. And this is why I'm bringing it to our attention. Many of us are parents. Malzahn pleaded guilty in June to first-degree murder, abandonment of a body, and other charges. Prosecutors agreed to drop capital punishment as a sentencing option for Malzahn in exchange for his pleas. The judge also ordered that he serve consecutive sentences ranging from 2.5 years to 15 years for other charges. They include theft of means of transportation, theft of a credit card, and armed robbery. Malzahn spoke briefly during the hearing. He said, "I just want to say I'm sorry. I know it doesn't change anything," he said. Now let's get into Catherine Gorospe's death. Gorospe was 44, went missing in October 2017. Now remember, Charlie Malzahn is 32, so there's a 12-year age difference. So she's 44. She went missing in October 2017 after posting bond. She posted bond form for Malzahn, who was jailed in Coconino County and had at least 3 prior felony convictions for crimes that spanned across the state. She even put up her house as collateral and had hoped to help Malzahn curb his drug addictions and straighten out his life. Remember what I said, the good very seldom pulls the bad up, especially when it's entangled with drug addiction. They're not thinking in the right mind, the drug addict, and they have to hit rock bottom, all the way to the bottom, and they have to want to get themselves better, no matter what the outside or any other person or rehab can do for them. Instead, he stabbed her multiple times near Williams, where the two met. He was the stepson. Now listen to the hypocrisy in this, in the dichotomy. He was the stepson of a police chief and working at a restaurant, and Gorospe was working a summer job as a tour guide in the town that's about an hour from the Grand Canyon, where she had rafted the river and often hiked. Malzahn was later seen driving Gorospe's blood-stained SUV in Phoenix and was arrested after fleeing from law enforcement. He gave authorities details and directions that narrowed the search for Miss Gorospe's body. Gorospe's remains were found on private property in Mayer, about 85 miles south of Williams, along with multiple stab wounds. She had broken ribs and defensive wounds. The remains were identified using dental records. Now, this is how our family remembers Miss Gorospe. Ray Gorospe and his son, Corey, visited the site that was encircled with stones and dotted with green pinwheels. Her family and friends wore green at the court hearing to honor Miss Gorospe's love for the Green Bay Packers and necklaces her father had made after she died with a Mickey Mouse and a green emerald. He said she was a smart and fun person who was driven in any project she took on. Her stepmother, Deidre Gorospe, told the Associated Press. And unfortunately, she had this flawed belief that anybody could be rescued, listen to this, with enough kindness and compassion. So that's an outward attempt to help someone. But that person that's in the abyss of addiction and mental illness, that mental illness needs to be treated, and they have to want to get out of that abyss. So all the kindness and compassion from someone else, it does not matter, whether you're a mother, father, brother, sister, whatever. That person that's in that abyss has to want to come out of it and clean themselves up and clean themselves off. And while that served the kids she taught and the pets she rescued, unfortunately, her murderer, it cost her her life. But unfortunately, with her murderer, it cost her life. After showing a slideshow from her funeral, relatives and 2 friends read statements that spoke of Gorospe's kindness to people and animals and her love for teaching. They also said her murder has made it hard for them to trust other people and want to help others. Michelle Kaler, her aunt, chastised those who believed Gorospe was at fault for being compassionate and trying to help Malzahn. She said Catherine was not an airhead, nor stupid, or, quote, she should have known better. She was a strong, intelligent, capable woman who thought she was doing the right thing. Freya Gorospe, Gorospe's sister-in-law, said her 3 children have great memories of their aunt and have been greatly affected by her death. She said, I'm wanting to make the point that I'll never be able to forgive him for taking the innocence from them, her children, having to know what murder is at such a young age. Grospy grew up in California but moved to Arizona to attend college and stayed, teaching elementary school children in the Phoenix area and frequently visiting the northern part of the state. Grospy and Malzahn had dated for just a month, according to records. Only a month. She taught school children in the Phoenix area, and her family has said she was a special person who loved children and animals and always saw the best in everyone. Mr. Malzahn has spent the last few years in jail in Maricopa County on separate charges and at the state psychiatric hospital to ensure he was competent to proceed with the murder case in Coconino County. So listen, you see all those things are entailed in that. We're talking about untreated mental illness, opioid addiction. Talk about these 7 or 8 pillars that are destroying our society as a whole. This story is encapsulated in this. This is a real true crime story that really happened. This is a video channel to enlighten everybody. And I'm sure you are fully aware, but we should always utilize our 5 senses and keep our head on a swivel. And things from an outward appearance that may appear to be decent and good, we have to reach down and look inside these individuals' souls. There is a lot of inhumanity and unhealthiness and hopelessness and helplessness that is going on and canvassing our cities and our states in many of our people today. And this is a very sad, unfortunate case of an elementary school teacher. We need teachers. They're underpaid, not appreciated. You would not have any doctors, lawyers, professional athletes if it wasn't for teachers and parents. So they are at the top of the social food chain as far as sustaining a vibrant society. We need healthy, smart, emotional, heartfelt teachers. And we definitely don't need to lose them but to a heinous crime such as this one. This is a great loss, not only to her family, but to the community and to her school and to her students. And they have a place for this Mr. Malzahn, who's in his early 30s. It's called prison. He should never get out. If all these allegations are correct and he's been convicted. And this is a sad commentary. It's tough for women these days to date, no matter what age you are. This was a 44-year-old woman, not 24, who was very aware, conscious, and had a good heart. And this is an unfortunate story. Tell me what you think about this on this elementary school teacher who bailed out this 3-time convicted felon who was 12 years younger than her. And she was trying to guide him in the right direction. And of course, he only looked at her as an opportunity to take advantage of, and he did the worst thing possible. He committed a heinous crime such as murder, and this 44-year-old elementary school teacher lost her life. This has been a Trevor Donald Experience. Manifest your truth in a positive, righteous, and God-fearing way.